Welcome to WrestleTalk. I am your host Joshua Zimmerman, avid wrestling fan since 1999, and Pennsylvania State Wrestling promoter since 2005. Let me start this video off by saying thank you to those who have viewed our current videos and given us 200 to 300 hits within 24 hours of their posting on each video, not to mention the comments and the help that we received for exposure. Um, this video also um, lets me rant about being right, even though I didn't know I was going to be right when I posted the videos, considering the earnings report came out August 5th, and all of my videos were posted afterwards. But August 5th, 2010, and the current subject, WWE releases second quarter financials. Right off the bat, they cite a $4 million loss for just the second quarter. Um, and you got to wonder right off the bat why these major investors are still sticking with them, and why at the end of the conference call they have basically questions of when Vince sees a turnaround. Can't you see that in recent years there is no turnaround? He's only popular because he's really the only major brand out there. So when these people are going to realize that there is no turnaround, currently you're putting money into a sinking ship that doesn't think it's going to sink. But basically, the whole conference call, which is available at corporate.wwe.com, was about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes in length. And right off the bat, they contradict themselves, and Vince starts backpedaling. Yes, he was one of your hosts for the conference call, as he is on most of them, but usually it's Linda. But now that he's the CEO again, we can expect to see him on all the conference calls. Um, Live events, they cited an 8% gain, but then a 19% loss in general attendance. So basically, if you're like me and the Philadelphia show, after processing fees, a $20 ticket turned into a $40 ticket. So I spent $40 to get here, and now what's the attraction? You see all the blacked out seats, all the spots that the cameras won't touch because it would show you how little people are actually there. So it was kind of a contradiction. Yeah, you buy the tickets, but then you realize this is what I wasted $50 on. So it's really nothing to brag about, even though they did brag about it. Um, Pay-per-views down 29%. 19% of that 29% loss was interpreted just in domestic buys. So basically 19% of the 29% are in this country, and they realize that there's nothing in the pay-per-views to see, and the other 10% comes from, the other countries and whatnot, the other regions that they touch. WrestleMania 25 either was interpreted either as $21 million in sales or 21 million units, or 21 million in revenue from it. This is all just bulleted information until we get into our major rant. 370,000 units of the current SmackDown versus Raw video game sold, so basically do anywhere between $40 and $49.99 per unit, and you have the game sales, 1.1 million units in DVDs, publishing up 17% to be at $2.5 million for the quarter. And like I said in my last video, basically when you put entertainment at the end of your name, you can put, if you're Vince McMahon, you can put anything out there that involves your wrestlers, but it doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with wrestling. So expect the current John Cena movie, that, by the way, at the end of the trailer says is in select theaters. Basically expect that to be on DVD within a month or two of its release, because in select theaters interprets that not even your United Artists or your AMCs want to carry this. Like they're having a problem finding people to carry the movie. What's the sense in having a production company if little to no people want anything to do with it? Um, Magazines, their monthly magazine subscriptions up 25%. You can do all the basic math from that. WWE Shop cites the average order is $50 an order. Adjusted operating income down 29% over the previous 21% over the previous quarter. Basically, it was just their way of making it look good, but all of this at the end of the day on your balance sheet is still a loss. Um, Adjusted net income down 4 million. That's the same as citing a $4 million loss in the second quarter. So basically, this whole quarter they lost money, and they continue to have the investors ask, well, Vince, literally, well, Vince, what do you see as the turnaround? When do you see the money coming back? Uh, he attributed, as of June 30th, they have 210 million in cash and investments. Vince himself did most of the talking, which is the CEO. I don't know if I would have done, considering all he had to report was bad news, and then backpedaling as to why it was a good thing. More or less, he attributes the primary loss in the decline of pay-per-view buys, and anybody with any kind of intelligence knows that it's not just the pay-per-views that suck, the whole product sucks. Why the brands still have to be split is beyond me. Why you're working on a season 3 of NXT is beyond me. Um, they're focused on original content, and if you've been watching the last couple weeks, nothing about it is original. Welcome to the Attitude Era 2.0. They run out of ideas, so none of it is original content. Right there, as an investor, I'm being lied to. If I'm an investor on this conference call, I would wonder why Vince was lying to me. Just give it to me straight. We lost a shit ton of money, and I really don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to try and fix it. Which is basically the stance he took, but what he referenced as his turnaround points, I really don't see a turnaround coming from. Especially when you have your inner staff selling and buying stock in accordance to how popular the brand is, the company is at the time. Stephanie McMahon and Kevin Dunn both dumped and rebought stock as the company went up and down. Vince McMahon cites Nexus, cites talent, cites the gain of new talent and the Nexus as primary, as the more favorable things going on in the brand. Attributes major setback also with the retirement of Shawn Michaels and the injury of The Undertaker. He cited 2 retirements, but since The Undertaker came back, I don't know if he meant The Undertaker or if I'm just not, out of boredom, just didn't follow it enough. But if you didn't see HBK getting out of the game right around the time that he did, then he's a bigger idiot than I give him credit for, because what guy do you know is going to continue to beat himself up? He's going to pull a Mick Foley. I still want time with my kids, and by the way, I've made a shit ton of money off of you, so why keep doing this? Or you get the wrestler that becomes part of the creative, and he has to do less of the physical, but it's like a football player. If the football player's got a choice, he's going to thank you for his wonderful career, take his money, and go live with his family while he can still walk. I mean, it's kind of naive to say that you didn't see any of this coming. As your guys get older, I hope you expect them to retire. The ones that are headstrong get carried out on gurneys. Um, he cites SummerSlam, the event that just passed, SummerSlam 2010 as the major turnaround, and cites the pay-per-view decline as we just need a stronger attraction. So that outright tells investors that the CEO and and chairman of this company realizes that he's not entertaining enough, and has for years, because every conference call, it's the same thing. We need a more attractable product. Well, how much longer are you going to take this man at his word and realize that he does not know what he's doing anymore with wrestling. Again, entertainment writers should not be on the payroll. Wrestling writers should. People that did the storylines back in the day or former wrestlers should be contributing to these storylines. Your entertainment writers, like I said in the last podcast or the last video, um, your entertainment writers are just basic entertainment. They could be anything. You know, they're not worried about the product. They're worried about Vince's general ratings, which aren't that good even with their help. Vince also cites that the new toy deal with Mattel will be part of his comeback, along with more favorable pay-per-views. A couple side notes: they paid $18 million this quarter in taxes, $21 million spent just in WWE films. Why? They all bomb. They all go right to DVD. Uh, Now they didn't get into specifics, or I didn't look at them because, like I said, it looked like a lot of backpedaling when all you really had to say was, "We suck right now. I don't know when we're going to get it back." But instead, you build these people up with fake promises. Eventually, the money will run out. I'd hope it run out because he's not going to learn any other way, and this conference call proved it. He thinks that this next quarter will just be a turnaround, and he basically, like I said, he basically put the blame on two people that took a hiatus. Well, one, actually, I take back what I said earlier. One, he didn't see the Undertaker hiatus coming. I don't know if he's seen the injury uh, as long term as it was, but it was also said to me that when Taker went out on that injury, it was more because he needed a break. Uh, why you wouldn't adjust your programming or your main eventers accordingly is beyond me, but he basically threw Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker under the bus as they were the fall guys for the reason the company didn't do good the second quarter. Uh, Cited a $1 million loss in the recent overseas volcano mishap that delayed a lot of travel for wrestlers and a lot of money spent on getting them on new flights and whatnot. But like I could say this till I'm blue in the face. He blamed all the wrong people and didn't credit any of the right people, and didn't really give me any kind of hope for World Wrestling Entertainment's future. It's like we're used to what we're doing and we're going to stick with it, but we're going to enhance what's currently going on to hopefully give you a better product. But there was no real angle of change. It was just SummerSlam 2010 and Nexus and how he sees them as a good thing. Um, Remind me again how the Nexus is a good thing when you contradicted the entire foundation of what it was supposed to be about. One guy should have made it out there with a contract, not seven. More power to him, but you could have built them up on season 1 and 2. Just make Nexus competitive instead of, oh well, we're going to get bullied in on a gimmick or on what actually happened behind closed doors. We're going to give all seven guys contracts because one guy won't come without his buddies. That's no way to run a program. But I don't need to tell you, the wrestling fans, that somebody needs to write a nice letter to Vince, or maybe Vince will see this and realize that he sucks as a promoter. Uh, Plus, your in-house squabbling, like I said, when your own people are buying and selling company stock, then you have a problem. They see that the product isn't any good, so why should the fan think the product is any good? It's a hand-in-hand thing. But again, it reverts back to why these investors keep thinking there's going to be a turnaround. Let me break it down real simple for you. There will be no turnaround. You've lost that money. You've lost that money for the second quarter. You've lost that money for every quarter over the last couple of years that you've been producing a shitty product. And you don't change anything about the basic structure. Vince McMahon is still in charge. It's still Vince's way or the highway. Why you're not ousting him as the CEO is beyond me. You're going to lose bigger money than this when people stop caring to turn on the TV, as I've done on Friday nights. People mute